Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Yakima EXO system swing-away bike rack and cargo carrier and seeing how it fits on the back of our 2023 Kia Telluride. This is going to be a completely modular cargo system for your hitch. And what I mean by that is all the pieces you see here, this is going to be a full kit. But you can get each one separately and you can get more pieces to build on top of it and swap things out. So this kit consists of the swing-away arm, the top shelf, which adds the second layer to the whole system. It's got the gear locker cargo box in the bottom and the bike rack on top. But you can get all of these separately, like I mentioned, or you could swap them out. So in the winter, we can change out the bike rack for a ski carrier, or we could double up and get two of these boxes, or we can get a camp kitchen. Really, the possibilities are very endless. There's so many different things to choose from to mix and match to the adventures that you're going on and build this out to match those adventures. And what makes this so versatile is the ability to swing away from the vehicle with all of this stuff loaded. So right here by the hitch, there's a large hand knob that we can twist and unthread. And once it's unthreaded, we can pull the pin right next to it to release the swing away arm. This will give us full access to the back hatch of our Telluride. It'll lock out at this 90-degree angle with that pin right there, and we can open up the back hatch. So this makes for a great campsite addition because when we get to our destination, we can swing it out, have full access to the back of our vehicle, and leave it swung out. It does come with a kickstand that you can place underneath the arm to add extra support and not put so much stress on the hitch. But this is going to be a great way to expand the function of our vehicle because if we've got the back row of seats lifted up, you can see just how small this cargo space is on the Telluride. And having a box on the outside on the ground that's very easy to reach is a great way to just fit that extra stuff that we wouldn't otherwise be able to. You could always put a roof rack on and put a roof box up on top, but the weight capacities there are a little bit limited, whereas with this we could do two boxes and get a little bit more, or have the bikes and the box at the back, and it's just easier to reach. If we do leave it out in this swung-away position, you're probably wondering how to get to the box underneath, because it does have a lid you have to open. Back here, there's a hand knob and a locking pin that we can pull out to actually rotate the top shelf 180 degrees. And even with the bike loaded and the large front tire on our mountain bike, it does clear with the Telluride just fine. I grabbed the biggest mountain bike we have down here to try to make sure it would fit. And then that gives us access on the other side to unlock and open the lid of the box, getting access to all 10 cubic feet of storage space underneath. So you don't have to sacrifice any function of the tool either. This can all stay loaded up and we just swing it away whenever we need to. This pin at the corner is what we pull to release the swing away arm and push it all back into position. And even from this angle of really poor leverage, it's pretty easy to turn. You have to do a little bit of lift right here to ramp it up and get that other pin to click back in, and then we can thread the long bolt with the hand knob in to fully secure it in the driving position. So overall, very easy to do. The box, like I mentioned, is 10 cubic feet of storage space and can hold up to 100 pounds on the bottom shelf here. The bike rack is going to have to go on the top shelf just for clearance issues, but up here it can hold up to 40 pounds per bike and hold up to two bikes. And the way it does this is with no frame contact. So there's a back wheel strap with this pivoting cradle to accommodate different wheelbases right here. And that front wheel hook, the thing mainly holding this upright, like I said, makes no frame contact, so good for carbon frame and alternative frame bikes. Unloading the bike isn't too bad either. This whole thing does sit fairly close to the back of your Telluride, not any closer that I'd have to worry about any sort of vehicle contact or things like that, but close enough that stepping on the other side of the bike to release this wheel hook might be a little bit cramped just because it is located towards the car. So hold on to it, squeeze the lever, push up and out on that hook, and once it's out, I can safely walk around to the other side and unload the bike from here. Now, because of the height, it will be a bit of a lift to get your bike up there. Just something to keep in mind. That's the sacrifice we make for having all the versatility of being able to carry both cargo and bikes. A couple clearance things to keep in mind with your Telluride. things like your backup camera and your license plate are going to be pretty much completely obstructed because the box underneath is quite bulky and the whole system just comes very close to all this, so it's not very visible going down the road. When we have bikes loaded up here, they will be blocking the back window. You'll probably be able to see through a little bit, but visibility will be limited, so keep that in mind as well. And on the sides, our taillights do remain actually very visible. It's going to be a little bit hard to see them up close, but from far back, you can see that the box doesn't line up with them. It ends just before the taillights start, so turn signals and things should be pretty okay. If you are worried about that, though, one recommendation I would make is the add-on light and license plate kit. That's going to just plug into 4-pole wiring on your vehicle, which you can get from here if you need that for your Telluride. Just plug your vehicle information to the fit guide to find the right one for you. And what that'll do is transmit your lighting signals, your turn signals, brake lights, and running lights to the back of the carrier where they're going to be much more visible. And it gives you a place to mount up your license plate so that it is visible too. It's one of those things that's built into the swing-away arm, so you don't have to run any crazy wiring. It's very easy to do and adds a lot of function and safety to the carrier. As for specific measurements with clearances, the closest point on the rack to the vehicle is right here. That'll be 5.5 inches. The furthest point from the bumper out to the end of the carrier is only 32 inches, which for all the space we get is pretty impressive. Just keep in mind when you're driving around and parking that there is some added length back here, and to be careful when driving around and backing up. And then for ground clearance, you're going to maintain a 14.5-inch ground clearance from the ground to the closest bottom edge of the carrier at the back end. I'd say for most situations that'll be just fine. Steep driveways and hills should be okay. And once you add a little bit of cargo to the box, and with bikes, you might notice that it drops down a little bit, but I don't think it'll be anything too concerning, considering that the empty carrier is pretty heavy on its own. The carrier does come with a lot of locks, and it's important to point those out because you don't want anyone messing with this when you're not around. Everything from that pin holding the top shelf in place to the hitch pin underneath, all locked up and secured so no one can rotate this or take it out of the hitch. The box, very importantly, has a lock on the other side to keep people from opening the lid, and your bike rack has cable locks built right into the arms so you can wrap it around the front tire of your bike or the frame, wherever you can reach, and lock it to itself. The other thing is the hand knobs. There's going to be 2 for each shelf, and those will let you control whether or not you're attaching an accessory. So just push these tabs to the side where you can see that arrow there to let us know we're in the swapping position. Loosen the hand knobs and lift your accessory out of the tracks. Those will just drop in, whether it be a ski carrier for the winter, a second box or a basket, or your bike rack. The hand knobs will tighten those cleats and secure the accessory in place. Those pins will switch to the lock side, and then you can lock up the hand knobs so they free spin and no one can loosen them. One important thing to note is that with all of those different locking points, not everything is key to like. There's a lot of different pieces here, and you might have a bike rack that uses a different key than the box that you get. If you want to make sure everything matches under a same key system, you'll have to pick up separate lock cores. You can get those in different quantities here at eTrailer depending on how many you need, and Yakima does make the process of swapping those cores very simple and straightforward, so you can get everything to match up with one key. And that's really all there is to it. The big benefit of something like this is having everything easy to reach and not having to always compromise with what we put in our hitch. Because if we get a bike rack and put that in the hitch, then we're sacrificing cargo space. Or if we get a cargo carrier, where do we put our bikes? You can always put things on the roof, but that requires a roof rack. And with the Telluride being a taller vehicle, that makes things much harder to reach. Having it down here is going to be more accessible for most people. And the fact that you can swap these accessories out to fit your needs depending on the activity you're doing is a really great benefit in my opinion. The one thing I do tell people to just be cautious of with the EXO system is that it's heavy. A lot of these systems, completely empty, can weigh well over 100 pounds, and then you start adding things into the box and onto the bike rack, and it gets even heavier. Luckily, with your Telluride, it and its hitch are built to withstand that kind of vertical load limit that the EXO system will be putting on it, so you shouldn't have to worry about any of it. If you've got a different vehicle, be sure to just be cautious of that. But for your Telluride, I think this is going to be a great solution to expanding the cargo space and functionality of your vehicle. Thanks for watching.